Hey everybody, I'm Josh Gammon.
I'm Andrew Nichols.
I'm Garrett.
And I'm David Prock, and that's with a P, y'all.
With a P.
Yep.
And this is So Many Sequels, a fun movie review talk show podcast / YouTube series.
Yes,
I nailed it.
Well done.
I think so. We
yeah.
are a fun show.
Andrew has turned himself into a living tree
Oh,
for the
Christmas,
video
Andrew.
watchers.
As we get closer and closer to Christmas, he becomes more tree.
Happens
like,
every year.
he's like-
basically he's Groot.
He's
Yeah.
like Timothy Green.
I'm
we are still smack dab in the middle of our So Many Santas 2020 special edition, the Christmasing. We've been talking about Christmas movies all month long. We started out with a Christmas movie debate. We then went on to The Muppet Christmas Carol and then Netflix's Jingle Jangle. And now we're going to do a new movie. If you haven't been watching, to catch you up, Santa, like Santa Claus, has been helping us pick out which movies we're going to talk about. So he's been getting in touch with each of us individually and sending us a present or a signal or something to be like, here's what I think you should review. And he's been asking us to wish really hard about what we want so that he can help us out in that department. He just straight up brought David a Blu-ray. That was pretty cool of him.
That was
He
nice,
brought-
yeah.
I got it over there.
He brought
somewhere.
me some candy for Jingle Jangle. And if you missed our latest video reveal for this episode, we're going to I just hiccuped real weird. We're going to talk about Elf. And he brought back the dreaded wheel, the sequel for Garrett.
He was
to fill out. He was feeling a little jigsaw-like, I guess, and put us through the torture of the wheel again.
Yeah.
Garrett
That
could
wheel-
make a.
That wheel had its moments, but it caused us a lot of pain this year.
It did cause a lot of pain
did.
this year.
It may have done us again.
I was stuck between some movies, so he helped me solve my decision by Santa
Yes.
helped me
Santa.
solve my
Santa.
decision by bringing the wheel, and Elf was dropped upon us.
Yes. So today we're talking about Elf, starring Will Ferrell, directed by Jon Favreau. It's kind of really become like a modern classic Christmas movie. It came out in 2003, so it's not old enough to be a true classic yet. But it has really
5 years.
it was a big hit when it came out, and it has really just become bigger over time. A lot of people watch it every year. It's always on TV. There's like animated spin-off specials. There's all kinds of stuff for Elf.
There's a musical.
And there is a musical, Andrew found out. This movie has, like I said, Will Ferrell, James Caan, Zooey Deschanel, Mary Steenburgen, Bob Newhart, Ed Asner, Peter Dinklage, Amy Sedaris, Andy Richter, Kyle Gass.
Yeah.
Tons of people. A lot of them kind of, well, not a lot of them. I was going to say before they made it real big, but not really. I mean, Zooey Deschanel, not quite big yet. Will Ferrell is still coasting on his SNL days. He's not a big movie star yet, but he's becoming one very quickly. And this is Jon Favreau's first big movie to direct. It's his second movie overall, but this was his first like big budget, big box office hit movie. So that's pretty.
Was
cool.
this also pre Game of Thrones Dinklage?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
It was way well.
That's
well,
what I figured.
well-
I figured as
don't-
much, but I couldn't
well
remember when Game
before.
of Thrones came out.
well after 2003.
Okay.
Yeah. I think
So
like
this
2000.
movie got a lot going for it. Also, obviously, pretty fresh newcomer Bob Newhart. He wasn't really well known yet.
No. He and Ed Asner, both those guys, really shot out of the cannon after this.
I almost didn't even mention Ed Asner because I thought, who's ever heard of that guy?
He's a legend
I know.
He's been
That's the
around for
joke.
a while.
in TV.
This is
and
the
my
joke,
goodness.
people. This is the joke.
Santa sleighs just went right over your heads, y'all.
Well,
and-
I'm not looking at you guys.
Just so I can hang on, I'm gonna double check this real quick. Let's see where Will Ferrell was at this point in his career. He was still he had done several movies, but he
Night at
hadn't.
the Roxbury,
it
probably.
doesn't look like he had done very many big starring movies. A Night at the Roxbury, yes. Him and
Chris Kattan.
Chris Kattan.
Yeah, yeah.
He and and Old School had come out that same year.
Yeah.
So 2003 is really the year Will Ferrell took off as a movie star. He'd been in the background of the first two Austin Powers. He had a role in Zoolander and The Ladies' Man, another SNL movie.
Mhm.
But Old School and Elf is where he really launched into superstardom, I think, and so this movie helped with that a lot. He plays Buddy, the elf, a human raised by elves who sets out on a quest from the North Pole to New York City to find his dad, James Caan. So, had anyone, I've surely not, has anyone not seen Elf before this?
No, I had seen it.
Seen
Okay,
it.
well then we will start with Garrett since it was his movie / the Wheels movie
It was.
to pick.
Yeah.
Go
So-
off.
Go,
Well,
Garrett.
I have seen this movie before. I've only seen it once, and I only saw it a couple of years ago. And I walked away that time thinking, I get why people think this is funny. It's fine. I get it. And then we watched it again, and I really enjoyed it this time. I had a hoot. Will Ferrell is basically just a child on Christmas morning as an adult 24/7.
Every day.
Yeah.
Every day of his life, he is a kid on Christmas morning. And so for him to be a magical Christmas elf as an adult with a childlike wonder is like the most perfect casting of Will Ferrell that you can get. I tend to put he and Adam Sandler in the same category of, what you're going to get into a Adam Sandler movie where it's either going to be crap or it's going to be great. And you're in the same boat with Will Ferrell, where it's either going to be crap or it's going to be great. And this is one of the ones that he just hit out of the park, and he hit it out early. It was a great movie, and I get why everybody likes it so much. He's funny. The Christmas message is very strong. You get the beautiful crooning voice of Zooey Deschanel, which always puts me into a Christmas spirit.
Mhm.
The She and Him Christmas album is always
Christmas something.
on my record player around this time of year. Bob Newhart, always wonderful to see him. Ed Asner, really good Santa Claus, I thought. Really enjoyed. Had a lot of fun.
Great.
Awesome.
Great.
Awesome.
Andrew, why don't you go next? Tell us about Elf and your experience with it.
So I first saw this movie back in like 2004, and
You always see movies like the year after they came out, I notice.
well,
Yeah,
the
or
thing
not
is,
at all.
the
Or
thing
not at
is
all.
that I didn't see it initially whenever it came out, and the time that I actually saw it was a year later, because for some reason, like if they released, obviously they wouldn't release them within the season, but like when they released movies like in theaters, they normally didn't release, especially if they were Christmas movies, they normally didn't release them until the next year, like the next Christmas season.
Mhm.
So I didn't see Elf until the next year, but I did see this. I saw this for the first time, and I'm thinking like, it's like kind of quirky, but it's funny. It's a good time, and it was just a good. It's just a good Christmas movie. It's a good holiday movie,
Mhm.
and there's virtually nothing wrong with it. And what I love about it is that it pays homage to a lot of other Christmas movies. There's a lot of, if you look around a little bit, there's a lot of like other Christmas movie like I don't want to say parts. I want to say
Like what?
there's like other influences of other Christmas movies that are implanted within the movie.
Mhm.
There
So,
are big buildings like there are in Die Hard.
pretty
Mhm.
much.
Yeah.
Um,
Might even see. No, wait, that was in Los Angeles. So never mind.
Santa Claus is there. as
Santa
per
Claus
many
is
good
there.
Christmas movies, yes.
but like what? But like no, Will Ferrell.
Oh.
Will Ferrell could not have been more perfectly cast as Elf.
Mhm.
He really couldn't. And even today, he's still like, it still shines like that. That is him. I feel like if he's known for nothing else throughout his entire career, he's going to be known for Elf.
You think?
Yeah.
That's a bold statement.
I don't know
I
about
really
that.
do. Like Name another role. I mean, besides Ron
Ricky
Burgundy.
Bobby.
Ricky Bobby.
I mean, I would say that those are the three.
Yeah, but like I would feel like Elf is like on the top of that, and yeah, I enjoy it around Christmas time. It's always a good film to watch. There's one thing I will say that I hope that they don't do to this movie. I hope they don't make a sequel. I hope they just leave this one alone.
I don't know if they ever will.
Good.
They probably have. They probably considered it. I'm sure.
Yeah.
They've definitely considered it. I read that they've considered it, and that what I read is that it is unlikely, apparently, because Jon Favreau and Will Ferrell don't really get along that well.
Mm.
That's the word on the internet street.
Interesting.
I don't know the details, but
Okay.
apparently they it is unlikely. But I mean, they've continued it in many other ways. Like I said, there's an animated special. There's the Broadway or the play. I don't know if it's Broadway play. Probably was. So there's other avenues they were able to explore that story without making a direct sequel.
Well, he stuck a pin in his finger.
And called it macaroni. Oh wait.
I don't know what just happened there.
He's talking
Well,
about
When he got the pinprick. He got the pinprick.
There's Jon Favreau played the doctor. That
Oh, I was like, what are you talking about?
yeah.
Fair. Gotcha. Yeah. I don't remember the first time I saw Elf. I've generally enjoyed it. However, this is my only Elf story. There was one year, 2011, 2012, I can't remember one of those, where I really hated Elf. And it is because I worked in a Blockbuster store, and that was the only movie we were allowed to play.
Mm.
So throughout the entire Christmas
That'll
season,
happen.
every time I worked at Blockbuster, we had to play Elf on the PS3 Blu-ray player
Gross.
on the only TV in the building, and then start it over every time it ended.
Oh my
So
god.
it took me a long time.
Every hour and a half.
It took me a long
Restart
time
that
to
movie.
want to watch Elf again.
Wow.
But I can thankfully say that I'm back now. It does not send me into cold sweats when I hear it or see it anymore.
Yeah.
It is back to being good again. So
Good.
I enjoy it. It's very funny. A lot of good laugh out loud moments. I love the tributes to especially the old like TV Christmas specials with, I don't remember his name, but the snowman that he meets in the beginning. And that whole style of animation in the North Pole is reminiscent of those old specials. So that's fun. I like that the kid, like the actual kid, James Caan's younger son, is not much of a jerk. Like a lot of the time, the kid is in this type of movie. The kid is sometimes a jerk.
Yeah.
And it's usually because one of their parents is absent is usually why they're a jerk. So that makes sense. But he's able to be a kid his age. You know, he's a little weirded out by Buddy at first, and able to express disappointment in his dad always being gone without being a jerk. And I like that. Zoe Deschanel's fun as Jovi, the mall elf. The story's fun. It feels original. It's like the Saves Christmas blueprint without being so in your face.
Yeah.
Because the majority of the movie is just Buddy interacting with humans. I'd read that the montage of him running through New York City is apparently all with real people that he's just running up to.
I was wondering if that was the case. I wholeheartedly believe that.
Yeah.
I wonder if him getting hit by the car was planned.
Let's hope that part was planned, because that could have gotten real bad.
Not planned part.
And then the other thing I saw that was real that I am just going to use this opportunity to shove in here. Apparently, when he chugs that 2 liter of Coke, that is a real burp that is dubbed by a voice actor, but it was a real burp.
Wow.
Oh, neat.
Good God.
I know, right? My favorite, I love it. It's like a 30-second burp, and then he goes, "Did you hear that?"
Did you hear that?
Didn't hear anything else.
That was crazy.
So it's very funny. I think it's a great movie. I'm glad that I like it again.
Yeah.
Thanks, Blockbuster. You almost ruined a movie for me.
Blockbuster ruining movies. That was their old thing. Not Blockbuster.
Yep.
Blockbuster.
Well, now we can talk all kinds of trash on Blockbuster. They can't get me anymore.
I'll go last here.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
you're absolutely right. Of all the films in Will Ferrell's MCU, this is by far the most tolerable, the easiest one to sit through. And it's really kind of like perfect in the line of like comedians doing Christmas movies, right? Like it's kind of its own little like mini genre, and this is one of those movies where it just works for me anyway. And it does, like you say, it pays homage to those old Rankin and Bass Christmas specials, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and what was the other ones they did? Like Santa Claus is Coming to Town, those type things. They even
there's a little bit of It's a Wonderful Life in there.
Yeah, they got the there's a little bit of Miracle on 34th Street in there a little bit too. So everything kind of comes together to be like a real homage to Christmas movies in general. I think Jon Favreau really is one of the more underrated directors we have these days. Not all of his films are necessarily hits, but I don't think that he gets quite enough credit for being actually a really solid director, and he's just cranking out work all the time.
And he's a pioneer.
Yeah, and has pioneered a lot of different visual effect styles or directing styles. I think it's really, I think it does a good job of keeping Buddy likable, because like the risk you run with his character is that he would be annoying not just to the people in the not to like just his dad and the other characters, but that he would be kind of annoying to the audience. But Will Ferrell has a certain level of like innocence that he can pull off that kind of makes you kind of root for him and feel for him.
Well, it's a genuine childlike wonder. Like it comes across as like a real, the closest movie I can equate it to is like Blast from the Past, when he comes out of the cellar for the first time and he's just genuinely wowed by everything that he's seeing. Mm-hmm. It's just like genuine wonder that Buddy's running through. He just loves everything.
Yeah, there's a handful of actors that could have also pulled off the same feat. You know, I was thinking as I was watching it, because I was watching it, I was thinking, could anybody, we say it all the time, only this person could play this role, you know? I was thinking, is there anybody that could have played Buddy? Like, obviously, this person I'm going to say absolutely could have done it. And it would have been the exact same movie. Everything would have the exact same feeling and beats. But obviously, the name recognition of a Will Ferrell compared to this actor then would have been night and day in terms of getting people interested. But I could really see like Jack McBrayer in this role of Buddy, and I think it would have worked just exactly right. But obviously Will Ferrell, way bigger star. And originally what I was reading was that this was developed in the early 90s for Jim Carrey, but it was going to be a little bit darker and a little bit more adult. But eventually they kept, as it often happens in Hollywood, they kept working with it and got what they got. And I think it works out. I kind of put this on the same level as like the Santa Claus or Home Alone, I think, in terms of like, you could put this movie in and literally nobody's going to complain on Christmas.
Only 2012 Josh. He would have.
Yeah, trying to. Well, if you play it on repeat,
he had good
every
reason.
hour and a half, you gotta
extenuating
reconnect the PlayStation controller.
There, yeah.
But yeah, no, it's a ton of fun. If we talked a little bit about Will Ferrell's other roles, it's definitely possible. So his MCU, I referred to, it's his man-child universe where he plays these grown men who act like children.
Well, you know what's kind of funny is I noticed a few. I wish I wasn't taking notes like I normally do whenever I was watching this movie, but I did notice a few things in this particular movie that probably didn't inspire some future stuff. Most closely being Step Brothers, where Buddy basically becomes a stepbrother. Mary Steenburgen is his stepmom in both movies.
Yeah, that is true. A lot of cross-pollination here with some other
Yeah.
Will Ferrell films. I don't know if James Caan's ever been in another Will Ferrell movie, but I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't really have much else to say. I really enjoyed Faison Love, right?
Oh,
Is that
the
his
store
name?
manager? Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
he's great.
He's hilarious. You know, he's always a bit character, but in every movie I've ever seen him in, he's so solidly funny.
He is. I mean, honestly, the guy
he
needs
really
more.
is just he's one of those that's like maybe in a movie for 5 minutes, but he really stands out as a side character.
Yeah, he hits every note really well. He always stood out to me because when I was younger, I would always just see those. I mean, and obviously he's in the most infamous, clip of this movie, which is just, all right, everybody, Santa's coming to town, and Will Ferrell, Santa, freaking out. He's, so he feels like he's a bigger part of the movie than he is. And then, what was weird? This is something that didn't occur to me until this watching. And the last time I watched it was probably like 2009, 2010. That might have been actually the first time I watched it. I actually watched it in the Will Rogers Auditorium.
Yeah.
At Rogers State University that we did. For some reason, we did a viewing of it in there, and I don't really remember.
It was around Christmas time. I remember this too.
I think it was for STO.
That might have been it. And so, we just we put it on, watched it on the big screen. That was really fun because this passed me by when I was 13. I just didn't see it. And Will Ferrell, by the time I got around to seeing it, I was already well tired of Will Ferrell. So this was actually pretty refreshing in comparison.
I'm in the same boat. Why I didn't see this movie. I don't know why I didn't see it initially. But I know why I didn't see it later in life, is I too have grown tired of Will Ferrell for the most part. I mean, not always. I just don't trust him.
It's incredible. It's incredibly wholesome. Like it's like
what's wonderful.
I don't know. There's very little like humor that wouldn't be like it's PG. It's got lots of older stars that our parents would have loved. Bob Newhart and Ed Asner and James Caan. So
go ahead.
But ton of fun. Love it. Yeah.
What is everybody's favorite scene?
Oh, for me, honestly, it's him testing the Jack in the Boxes. Jack's in a box. Just the and he keeps getting freaked out, and he gets the last one, and it's really it's the micro performance of when he rolls it and it doesn't go, and puts it down and starts making a little note, and then boom, it just explodes on him. It gets me every time. Just the idea of like now, like it's not just a matter of him testing it and putting it aside. He has to make a note. Box 382. Didn't it's I laugh about that every time.
I really enjoyed just his. It's hard for me to pick a scene because it is just so funny. The montage of him just running up to random people is very funny. I enjoy when they think that he's a Christmas Graham, and they ask him to sing, and he's just like, "Okay," and he's just going, "I'm here with my dad.
I'm here with my dad, and I'm singing."
Yeah, it was
the whole thing.
Really funny.
Andrew,
you got one, Andrew?
It's okay. So I would have to say whenever he is redecorating the entire toy store, and when he goes in there initially, he walks up to that woman who's like saying, "You want to try like a sample of perfume?" It's like fruit splash. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, like, yeah, I would say my favorite scene of that movie was when the store manager announces that Santa's coming, and he just goes completely ape shit that Santa's coming, and he's just like,
"You sit on a throne,"
just like backing away, like, "Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna leave you alone." And then when the store Santa arrives, he like starts calling him out. He's like, "You're not Santa." "Yes, I am."
Yeah.
"Well, what did I say you for your birthday this year?"
"You're
"Happy
already lying."
Damn it. And then
"Sit on a throne of lies."
But yeah, I would have to say that would be my favorite scene.
My favorite is when Buddy so purely, genuinely, and excitedly calls Peter Dinklage an elf.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's so.
You know
so
what
silly.
You want to know? I meant to look up if Peter Dinklage has talked about this role since like recently or anything, because like I kind of curious because that character, other than beating up Will Ferrell, doesn't really get much comeuppance, or doesn't really get much. I don't know. Like, I wonder what the response was at the time, because it is kind of like Buddy just making fun of
It is
a dwarf, calling him an elf, and even though Peter Dinklage's character gets to beat him up,
it feels like one of those
the character's
scenes.
gone after that.
It feels like one of those scenes that survived the darker cut of the script.
Yeah,
like that scene feels darker than the rest of the movie, just because on the surface level, you're like, okay, I get it. But yes, on the deeper level, it is just making fun of Peter Dinklage.
Yeah, you definitely could do that now.
yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what the response was then.
They certainly wouldn't do it today in a children's movie.
Yeah,
but it's
just how gleeful he is about it.
It's the gleefulness mixed with the indignant rage from Peter Dinklage, where he's not even like offended about anything other than the implication that he's not better than him.
Yeah. I like the way that he goes, call me off one more time. He just does like the come on gesture.
Mm-hmm.
There it is. And he just gets up and storms him. It is, but it's also just how gleeful and like how Will Ferrell manages to sound both innocent and easily mistakable for sarcastic. Like he's being
yes, it could be very condescending.
Oh, listen to you.
He's an angry elf.
Must be a South Pole elf. Does Santa know you're here? Like he just sounds like he's being such an a-hole.
Yeah.
But but at the same time, you can hear the other how, like you can see it from if the entire movie was a movie that didn't feature Will Ferrell and Will Ferrell showed up for just that scene and did that whole thing, you would think, man, Will Ferrell played a real a-hole in this movie.
It's so funny because it's one of those I can't believe they did that moments.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember when I watched that scene
in 2000.
I remember I remember I got up and I walked out of the room because it was so cringy.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was a cringy moment, and I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe he actually said that. So.
Oh man.
Yep.
Well, there's the scenes like that's kind of. I mean, like I like it. Like the movie's great in general, but I also want to talk about some of my favorite elements that are towards the beginning, with a lot of the stuff of Buddy in the North Pole. Not just because of the animation stuff, but because of all they use a lot of forced perspective to make Will Ferrell and the kids that play Buddy growing up look like a giant man compared to Bob Newhart and all the elves. And I think it's just really creative, and it just really shows what you can do without CGI, even though they did use some for certain scenes. But it's also kind of crazy because I was reading in this article from 2000, no, it's 2003, so same year, but where Jon Favreau said that he actually had to fight to get to not use CGI for most of the movie. It's so funny now because of where he's come now, where you look at like something like The Jungle Book, which was like all CGI except for one kid. So
and I think it depends on the project, because if you would have done something like Elf as CGI in 2003, it wouldn't hold up. It'd be bad. Probably.
Oh, yeah. I think in 2003 standards, yeah, you're absolutely right. It probably would not have been as good as just doing what they went with.
I would have to agree with that.
Yes, I agree.
Man, I don't know what else to say about Elf. I don't have any real knocks on it because I don't think it's worth knocking.
No, it's a nice.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
it's a Christmas staple anymore. Like you can't. It's on every Christmas. It's just now one of those. It's kind of ingrained in the whole Christmas cycle. But it's also at its heart, it's a genuinely good film. Like there's really nothing bad about it. I can't, if there is, I can't find it. I don't think any of us have found it.
No,
but
you know what? It's a brisk watch too.
Yeah,
it's
at 90
not
minutes,
like a real long watch.
Yeah, at 90 minutes, it's just kind of a breeze. But I will say that, like, I want to say this is probably a risk for both Jon Favreau and Will Ferrell. And because, like, it's a family film, Will Ferrell up to this point is not really known for making family films. Like, he's made A Night at the Roxbury, and he made Old School. And in Old School, he was the scene
Mostly naked.
Yeah. The scene he was famous for was he was streaking down the middle of the street, and he was really doing it too. So it's just like this guy goes from streaking down the middle of the street to being in a children's film. It's kind of like, oh, that's a risk. And usually Christmas movies, especially children's movies like these, don't normally add up. They usually think it's like your last ditch effort to save whatever career you have. This instead propelled it, and it's made him into a bigger star than he ever has been, and now he's universally known as Elf. And as far as Jon Favreau is concerned, as far as Jon Favreau is concerned, I keep screwing up his name.
His name's not Elf. Never was. Never has been.
Yeah.
As far as Jon Favreau is concerned, he did. I'm trying to think what else he's done. He's done
Iron Man.
He did nothing.
And this was only like his third feature film.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
At that point in time,
he was not taking a risk. He was taking a paycheck.
That's true.
Yeah.
But like, it's something that paid off. I mean, it's paid off very well.
Yeah.
And this, I will say that Jon Favreau doesn't get. I mean, he should be credited for a whole lot more than he should be right now, because he's kind of reinvented a whole lot of stuff. He reinvented, a Christmas classic that we now see almost yearly. Okay, it gets regular airplay around this time.
Yeah,
he started the MCU, and he's helped reinvigorate Star Wars with The Mandalorian. So, what do you get with Jon?
And then you sneak in a lot of other like good films like Chef and
Cowboys and Aliens.
He was also a spot on Friends. So there was that.
Yeah.
Got that going for him.
And he's also he's a good actor too.
Mm-hmm.
But
he's a good actor.
but I mean, this was the movie. Whenever you go back and you watch old like behind the scenes stuff for Iron Man, Kevin Feige and the others, like people working there, would always say, "Yeah, Elf turned us on to Jon Favreau, and we were like, we got to work with this guy." Which is, it's almost hard to believe that they would see Elf and go, "Hey, that's who we should direct a superhero movie." But there you go.
It happened. It happened. All right. Well, no sense dragging this out any longer than needs to be. So let's move on to the box office segment of the show and tell us how much money this movie made. It was quite a bit.
Yeah, it did. So like you said earlier, Elf opened November 7th, way back in 2003. And it actually opened in the number 2 spot, would you believe? Number 1 was Matrix Revolutions.
Oh, then yes, I would.
Yeah.
You can go listen to our review of Matrix Revolutions. It's right now at our Spotify, Apple, and everywhere playlists. Matrix Revolutions, that was its opening weekend as well. It would bring in $48.4 million. Elf, like I said, finished number 2 with 32.1. At number 3, you had the Disney film Brother Bear in its third week, brought in $18 million. At number 4, you had Scary Movie 3, bringing in $11.1 in its third week. And at number 5, Cuba Gooding Jr. in Radio, it's with $7.2 million. You know what's crazy? I'm going to throw a movie to you guys here. And you guys have reviewed this before. But isn't it crazy to think about these two movies came out the same year and that they don't really feel like it to me? Elf and Love Actually came out the same weekend.
Huh.
Wow.
Debuted the same weekend as if I'm looking at here, at least in the United States. So Love Actually would debut in the number 6 spot with 6.8 that weekend. It's weird. I think of Love Actually being older than Elf, but there you go. Elf would go on to make a pretty daggum good $173.3 million in the United States, bringing in $47 million from overseas to give it a worldwide total of $273 million. I did a little bit of research, and in terms of domestic numbers, that $173 million makes Elf the second highest grossing Christmas movie. Only behind Home Alone, and in fact it's sandwiched right between Home Alone and Home Alone Lost in New York. So not bad. I mean, for all those things we were talking about.
Yeah.
If you go on to the year for 2003, we actually have recently reviewed quite a few movies from 2003. The number one movie for that year was Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King, which you can listen to our review of. Brought in $377 million in the United States box office. And number 2, Finding Nemo, $339 million. Pirates of the Caribbean: The Black Pearl brought in $305, rounding out the $300 million domestic here. At number 4, you had The Matrix Reloaded with $281 million. And at number 5, Bruce Almighty, $242 million. Some other movies that we'll get to at some point. X-Men 2, X United came out that year. Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines. Let's see. Bad Boys 2. What are some other sequels here? Too Fast, Too Furious, the only Fast and the Furious movie I've seen. Spy Kids 3D, Game Over. Came out that year. I already mentioned Scary Movie 3. What else? Legally Blonde 2 came out that year. So a couple sequels that we may visit in the future. And you can always give us your suggestions for which sequels or which franchises we should do in the comments. So do that. That's pretty much it. I already gave you that Christmas stat, didn't I? So there you go. I'm trying to see if there's anything else worth mentioning here. No, not really. Okay, that's it for me. I don't remember who won last week, so I'll throw it to that person.
Was it me? I don't remember.
Was.
It was me. All right, friends, go for it.
Yes,
I have it pulled up, and you guys can go for it.
I'm going to go.
He says as he's pulling it up.
I'm going to go with 3.7.
3.7 out the gate for Andrew, who has been eliminated from the competition already.
This is the Letterboxd game,
but is allowed to compete for fun.
Yeah, this is the Letterboxd game. We'll just spoil it for someone. Where we're going to guess the ranking on Letterboxd. I'm going to guess. I feel like 3.7 is a pretty good guess. I'm going to say 3.3.
3.3, a little lower from David.
Mm-hmm.
This puts me in a predicament.
Mm.
I don't believe it is higher than 3.7, but I don't believe it is lower than 3.3. And I hate to be in the middle because that's not typically a good place to be either.
Oh, a tiebreaker one way or the other.
Could be. Well, y'all really leave me no choice, so I'm gonna hope that you guys are on two ends of a spectrum, and that I can pull it off in the middle with a 3.5.
Okay.
3.5 for Josh, a 3.7 for Andrew, and a 3.3 for David. Well, my friends,
I feel like if one of us is not right, right on the money, it's going to be a tiebreaker.
Andrew is correct. There is a tiebreaker.
Oh!
There is.
You tricked him. He thought he won.
He thought he won.
Too bad it wouldn't matter.
No, there's a tiebreaker. The movie is a 3.4. I try. I'm a good host.
3.4.
3.4.
3.4.
So
it's me and Josh.
Let me see here. All right. Let me see if I can find this here.
Yeah, we need a tiebreaker.
How many people have added this to their favorites list. I got to see how I can find that again while you guys discuss. Let me pull it up on a desktop. I think it's easier to find that way.
It is easier to find on the desktop version.
I don't even have a
Yeah, you're gonna have to give us like.
I will give you a
bearing.
range, but stretch while I pull this up here.
You give us like a
This is-
window there. So yeah. So for those who may not know what we're doing right now, we're doing the Letterboxd game. Where we go to our favorite movie review site, Letterboxd, for fans and critics alike. You can rate movies, you can review movies, and like your friends' reviews and stuff. So it's fun. You can find us on there. Search our names. I'm David Prock. Josh Gammon. Andrew. I don't know if he has his last name on there or not.
Hey, it's just Candrew.
And then Garrett.
Yep. Well, you can say what my handle is. That's fine. You can say.
I don't remember what is your handle on.
It's just my first and last name.
Oh, just
I
Garrett.
just don't do it
the
because
name
it's
he
fun.
refuses to say.
Yeah, I just do it for fun. Okay. I found the fans. The fans are the people on Letterboxd who have put this in there. There are 4 or 5 slots where you can put your favorite.
You have a bracket. It called for like four favorites.
And this is the number of people that have put it in there. So your range is between 100 and 400.
300.
300.
The range between 300 and 400?
No, 100 and 400.
Oh,
I picked 300. 300 was what I wanted to say before I knew the window, and so now that I know the window, I wanted to stick with it.
I'm going to say 355.
355.
Well, I guess I don't have to do that. I could just literally just guess one over or one under. Josh, can I be
Fair
be
enough.
closer?
That's technically you could. The answer, and I believe the winner. Now you guys are going to fight about this, but technically, since we did not establish rules, the winner is David, as he is the closest. However, he did go over 335 fans. We did not establish rules.
335.
We did not establish Price is Right rules at the beginning of this, though.
Well,
Yeah, we never have.
I'm 20 off
You're
over,
20 off,
and
yes.
Josh is 35 off under.
Yeah, I know. So, David, you have taken this win.
Oh, sweet.
Does that put you closer to being able to at least beat Josh?
Well, it will, but I have to run the game next week, and next week's the
That's not
last
a problem.
week.
I volunteer as tribute.
So, well, you guys
for
can
the
run the
benefit
game next week.
for the benefit of the excitement of the game. I volunteer as tribute
Now-
to run next week's game. David,
Yeah.
you take the point. You and
Absolutely.
Josh and Andrew can battle it out next week for the
Absolutely.
final piece of who gets to start the 2021 season.
So you're only one
Absolutely.
behind me?
Yeah, I can tie next week, and then we can come up with some fun tiebreaker event that might make for some good video viewing. If you have an idea for that, put it in the comments below for how we can settle this tie. But then again, I actually have to beat Josh next week and guess the correct answer to Andrew's movie.
Which we don't know yet.
We don't know it yet, so we'll find out soon.
We'll find out very soon.
What were our? I'm sorry. What were our rankings?
I gave it a 4.
4.
I'll give it a 4 as well.
I'm going to go up a little bit. I'm going to give it a 4.5. I think it's a glorious Christmas movie.
I think we've had a pretty good So Many Santas so far.
I agree. Every movie has been
We haven't
delightful.
watched a bad movie yet.
No.
I third that notion.
I'm sure Andrew will make sure we do.
Andrew is bringing the lump of coal. Don't worry.
Oh
no.
It's going to be fantastic, and everyone out there in podcast land.
As long as it's entertainingly trash, a la Jingle All the Way,
It's bad
then,
Santa. It's bad Santa.
I'm fine with it.
Okay, well, look forward to that next week. Find us online on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for So Many Sequels on all those. Be sure you follow our pages so you can see all the fun stuff we post. We share movie news, videos, all kinds of fun stuff. Subscribe to our podcast in your favorite podcasting app if you've not done so yet. And then leave us a rating and review on the Apple Podcast app if that's your favorite one.
Mm-hmm.
Then, of course, we have our YouTube channel where viewers are watching this now. If you're a listener, you're missing out on the sweet visuals. Yeah. I
How
can't
can
say
you
much
resist
more.
Andrew's gorgeous face?
I can't say much more than that. So be sure that wherever you like to listen or watch, subscribe. Also, be sure to check out the Wayback Flashback, the other show, on Spotify. It's only on Spotify, but this month we're doing Christmas songs all month long. So between this show and that show, you get all kinds of Christmas content. So don't miss out on that.
Great for the car ride.
So keep an eye on our social media accounts so you can see a video of what we're going to do next week whenever Santa tells us. And it'll be our last Christmas movie of the year and our last movie of the year before we do our big year in review wrap-up show. So still some things to look forward to. We'll see you guys next time.